An off-the-rails announcement by Trump today on Truth Social, where he wrote, quote, "I am proud to announce that we will be hosting a magnificent parade to honor the United States Army's 250th birthday on Saturday, June 14th in Washington, D.C. For 2.5 centuries, our brave soldiers have fought, bled, and died to keep us free, and now we will honor them with a wonderful parade, one that is worthy of their service and sacrifice." Now, conspicuously missing from that announcement, that would be any mention whatsoever that this just so happens to coincide with his birthday. Because this isn't about honoring the army, this is about Trump finally getting his dictator fantasy fulfilled with a massive military parade in honor of him. And let's be clear, this is precisely what authoritarians do. They wrap their personal ego trips in patriotic language and pretend that it's about honoring the military. But make no mistake, this parade would feature 6,600 soldiers, 150 military vehicles, including tanks, 50 aircraft, and cost somewhere between $25 and $45 million. All so that Donald Trump can watch the military march in his honor on his birthday. The reality is that military parades on the president's birthday are fundamentally un-American. We don't do that here. That's what happens in North Korea, where they have massive military parades for Kim Jong-un's birthday. That's what happens in Russia, where Putin stages elaborate displays of military might. Hell, it's what happened in 1930s Germany, where German soldiers could be seen goose-stepping for one chancellor. As for the U.S., America has held exactly one major military parade in modern American history, in 1991 to celebrate the end of the Gulf War. That was to commemorate an actual military victory, not to stroke some politician's ego. But the fact that Donald Trump is scheduling this parade for his birthday tells you everything you need to know about his actual motivations. And it's not like this is new as far as Trump is concerned. This is the exact same guy who tried to do this exact same thing during his first term. He was so inspired by the Bastille Day parade in France that he demanded the Pentagon plan a massive military parade for him back then. But that plan was scrapped when the cost estimates topped $92 million, and even Republican senators like Lindsey Graham warned against making it look like a Soviet-style display of military might. Of course, now that Graham has taken up residence in Trump's colon, we won't see the same pushback. And Trump, too, has learned his lesson, wherein instead of calling it Trump's military parade, he's branding it as an army birthday celebration. But if that facade was any more transparent, you'd be able to see through it like glass. In fact, here's the answer Trump gave when confronted directly about the cost.
The president also told me that next month he's planning a military parade celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army that also falls on his 79th birthday.
We're going to have a big, beautiful parade.
A military parade?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We're going to celebrate our military. We have the greatest military in the world.
What's the price tag? Do you
People, peanuts compared to the value of doing it. We have the greatest missiles in the world. We have the greatest submarines in the world. We have the greatest army tanks in the world. We have the greatest weapons in the world. And we're going to celebrate it.
Ah, yes. What's the cost of not doing it? How could the United States even survive without a military parade in honor of dear leader? Other than, of course, how we survived for 250 years without one. What makes this even more obscene is what Trump's priorities actually are right now. While he's spending tens of millions of dollars on a vanity parade, his administration is in the middle of an economic crisis, largely of his own making. His tariffs have sent inflation skyrocketing, the very thing he promised to get under control during the campaign. His trade wars are devastating American businesses and farmers and the economy more broadly. Unemployment is rising as companies lay off workers to deal with increased costs. But instead of focusing on fixing the mess that he created, Donald Trump is more interested in watching tanks roll down Pennsylvania Avenue so that he can feel big. Instead of working to bring down grocery prices for struggling families, he's planning a $45 million birthday party for himself, paid for, of course, by you. In fact, the healthcare implications alone are perhaps the most egregious because while Trump is spending millions of dollars on military pageantry, his administration is actively working to strip healthcare coverage from 13.7 million Americans. His budget, for example, would gut Medicaid, slash Medicare, and eliminate subsidies that help working families afford health insurance. In other words, Trump has no problem taking healthcare away from millions upon millions of Americans, but perfectly content to spend $45 million so he can take an hour-long ego trip. That tells you everything you need to know about his priorities and who he actually gives a shit about. And of course, this administration stripping Americans of their healthcare would be bad enough unto itself. But the reality is that it is there solely to serve as an offset to the tax cut that Trump is giving himself and his billionaire pals. His tax plan would save him personally millions of dollars, while average families see their costs go up. So, to summarize here, Trump can find $45 million for a vanity parade, he can find billions of dollars for tax cuts for the wealthy, but he can't find money to help Americans afford healthcare or prescription drugs. Priorities on full display. And that's a point that Jasmine Crockett pointed out here. So let's talk about waste.
Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade, or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over 30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing. Yet the Republicans have been silent. So they must think spending taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. And when I talk about constituents, we're going to talk about the ones on this committee.
So look, maybe instead of setting cash on fire as it relates to the military, how about taking care of veterans when they come home by fully funding the VA hospitals? How about not firing them from their jobs at the VA? How about not trying to sink the PACT Act, which gave vets health care during the Biden administration? But of course, Trump doesn't care about any of that. He just wants the spectacle and the photo op. Our troops are mere props in his personal theater. And yet, when you can't govern effectively, this is what you do. You compensate with shallow displays of strength. And Trump does think he's conveying strength to the world, when in fact he's just betraying how weak, how desperate, and how insecure he is. When our adversaries watch a fundamentally insecure Trump maniacally grasping for power and relevance with parades and idle threats, it becomes clear just how much of a liability our leader is. So when you see this parade on June 14th, remember what you're really watching. You're not watching a celebration of the Army's birthday. You are watching a 79-year-old man living out his dictator fantasies with our military as his personal entertainment. You're watching someone who cares more about his own ego than the welfare of the American people. And you're watching exactly the kind of authoritarian spectacle that our founding fathers would have been horrified by. Because in America, the military serves the Constitution and the people, not the personal vanity of whoever happens to be president. This parade is a betrayal of everything that America is supposed to stand for, wrapped in the flag and sold as patriotism. But then, that's basically the Republican playbook to a T.